In today's news, 39 new cases of COVID-19 in Antigua, and Florida sees its biggest one-day surge.
The revised version of the Recovery and Development Plan approved in the House of Assembly. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
There's a reason you get up on a morning. A reason you pick yourself up, start the day. Maybe it's sheer grit. Maybe it's your ethics. Maybe it's because you know people like you are waiting for people just like you. We all have our reasons, and for Republic Bank, that reason is you. Every little thing, every big thing. It's all about making a difference in your life. Because after 182 years, if it's one thing we're sure about, is that the difference is you. We're here to help.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
A pleasant welcome, everyone. It is Wednesday, June 24th, 2020. My name is Javon Wilson.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. A beautiful day here in the British Virgin Islands. We're finally starting to see the sky, Javon.
Yes,
so
the dust is receding for sure.
We're definitely thankful for that.
All right, viewers, before we head into our newscast, we have to let you know some breaking news in Antigua and Barbuda. Health authorities in that country have confirmed 39 new cases of COVID-19. They arrived just recently and tested positive. Now, among the newly reported cases were nationals who were repatriated from the island of the Dominican Republic. They have since all been quarantined, but nevertheless, a very frightening reality, especially since Antigua, as we know it, Kyla, happens to be one of the main ports into the British Virgin Islands. So it's a very scary reality. The good thing is we were able to confirm that our people, none of our people, whether nationals or residents, are being repatriated from that area. But nevertheless, as you think about the global travel industry, it's still a very frightening reality. Then in the United States, we also see a 25% jump in cases in Florida. That's just yesterday. That's 5,500 new cases of COVID-19 confirmed. So again, COVID-19 may be a little calmer on this side of the world, but nevertheless, we look across the region and I look across the world and see it's still a very frightening reality, Kyla.
Most definitely, especially that reality out of Antigua and Barbuda. We see where Caribbean countries are now repatriating nationals, and although none of our nationals thus far have come from that port, we are also dealing with the same repatriation process, and it could be easily us. And 39 new cases is definitely a lot of new cases, but I think it just really punches the point that we must stay vigilant as nationals return to our shore and make sure that quarantine is definitely mandatory and persons are abiding by these laws.
Absolutely, and I really love that recently the Premier is also pushing testing prior to coming, which I think will alleviate some of those concerns. But viewers, we have to head straight into our newscast for today. Now, the Virgin Gorda Resilience Group is a group of like-minded individuals from the island that seeks to coordinate various areas of the community by including various stakeholders. Now, disaster preparedness is certainly a key focus of this group. Well, viewers, just recently, our very own CCT was able to make a donation that will complement the great work that they're already doing on the beautiful island of Virgin Gorda. The Sister Island coordinator, Mrs. Sasha Flax, was able to shed some light, not only on the functionality of the group, but also how CCT's donation will make a vast difference. Listen in.
The team is made up of persons that live on Virgin Gorda. The mission of the team is building a resilient Virgin Gorda community by improving the quality of life through social, psychological, environmental, and economic initiatives. We started, it's about a year now since we have been up and running. One of our main focuses is on disaster preparedness. So we've had disaster preparedness drives. We helped with cleaning drains with the different government departments. We also are right now in the middle of a debris cleanup, and working on a vulnerable register where we have our seniors, persons that are mentally challenged, and children, where so we can know where to find them and if they would need any special attention before or after a natural disaster. We will also played a big role in the COVID-19 response on Virgin Gorda, and we have plans on working on some beautification projects before the end of the year. We are very grateful for the cellular phone from CCT. We think that it will be a great help for us in communication, to get water to the community, have a number for people to contact us. And there's also resilience teams on Anegada and Joss Van Dyke. They are currently up and running.
Now, as expounded on by our Sister Island coordinator, Mrs. Sasha Flax, who also plays a very critical role in the VG Resilience team, they're making a conscious effort to ensure that VG gets the assistance that it needs. They've embarked on quite a number of projects and continue to do so. We see them pursuing a lot of projects that really make a difference. So I'm very sure that CCT stepping up within this regard, of course, embracing their corporate social responsibility as a company, once again, will definitely enhance the process for them.
Definitely love this this story. The VG Resilience team definitely steps forward, and yet again we see corporate responsibility shining its light, CCT doing and donating back to the community. So always a great effort. But as we move on, now yesterday in the House of Assembly, the government's revised version of the previous Recovery and Development Plan have been approved in the House of Assembly. Under this revised plan, more contracts will become available to locals, which is always great news. The House have agreed for the legislation to take retroactive effect on October 17, 2019. Now, this revised recovery and development plan has to also be approved by the United Kingdom government, since we know that the UK government have agreed to become the territory's loan guarantor. Amongst many other things, the revised plan allows for the BVI to renegotiate the terms and conditions of loans offered by lending institutions such as the Caribbean Development Bank, which goes by CDB. Negotiations have already begun with the Caribbean Development Bank at this time. Now, Honorable Premier of the Virgin Islands, Honorable Andrew Foy, now he said in the House of Assembly, and I quote, when and he's speaking about the old recovery plan, was approved originally, and even with the CDB loans, there was a certain threshold of what a local contractor would be able to do with the CDB loan. With the new RDA plan, we expanded it to make sure that the amount of money was increased for what local contractors can be the only ones to be given the chance to tender, because when you take out a $65 million loan from the CDB, you cannot afford as a territory, especially now that COVID-19 is here, to have contractors come from all over the world and get these jobs. He added by saying, we are negotiating to make sure that as many local contractors as possible will get these jobs. Now, besides the renegotiation terms and conditions for the loans that will fund the plan, the revised plan was downsized to focus more on hurricane recovery projects and less on developmental projects.
I know the Filet government has been pushing for RDA reform for a very long time, and even before Honorable Foy became the premier, while he sat on the opposition, he definitely wanted more opportunities for local persons, especially local contractors, because there is a threshold, and he wanted that to be lifted, of course. So I see this working only in the benefit of locals. I think especially at this very critical time, like you said, where opportunities must be seized for the local populace and not necessarily us sending that money out, giving that money away necessarily to outside contractors. I think it's critical at this point. So I'm very happy to see this because the Premier constantly reiterates the fact that within the RDA agreement, there are so many discrepancies within the fine print that we may have overlooked in the past. And I think this is why he has been very hesitant with the sign-in and really asking that we be a little patient in our signing off as it relates to the loan guarantee.
Most definitely. And in the House, we see where various representatives keep pushing the message of locals are competent, are able to put forth proper work, and we're really glad to see this opportunity being made for locals.
You see, Kyle, the government's position is this. Yes, we need that $400 million loan, but it has to be at a cost that we can afford.
Most definitely.
And I think that's the Premier's main principle. So I'm very happy again to see it being revised to include locals.
Most definitely.
Very good. Veer is still ahead. Minister Whitley is now pushing to have prisoners expunged under the newly proposed marijuana legislation, and the BVI London office is willing to now assist with the repatriation of BVI nationals living in the United Kingdom. All this and so much more when 284 News returns.
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Homegrown.
And initiate sequence.
Penetrate this man's soul with my heart.
What?
Watch and learn.
Sir?
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. the Honorable Natalia Whitley, is now fighting for prisoners incarcerated for marijuana-related crimes to be expunged under the proposed marijuana legislation. Now, this announcement was made earlier today via an exclusive interview that I had the honor of sitting down with Dr. Whitley on, just to speak about the marijuana legislation as well as a few other issues that happens to fall under his portfolio. Listening. So you're saying that the amendment to the drug use bill will allow for the average person to have small amounts of marijuana across the board?
Well, we have taken a decision as a government, Javon, that persons should not be locked up in jail for the use of marijuana. It's an issue of social justice. So we want to stop the persecution of persons who are using a plant who basically are, it's a plant basically that persons all over the world see medical benefits from. It's a plant that's making persons wealthy, rich, and I think that the world has really moved past prosecuting persons for possessing marijuana. But I must say, Javon, that this bill will tightly regulate the use of marijuana, and it's going to be for medical purposes as opposed to the recreational purposes that some persons use it for. We're saying that marijuana has medical properties. It can help you with many ailments and many illnesses, and that's why we're introducing it here to the Virgin Islands. And so persons will have to conform with the laws. We'll have to do a declaration for persons who have medical illnesses to be able to purchase a certain quantity of marijuana. You're also going to have to get clearance from the doctor to be able to possess the marijuana.
That was Honorable Natalia Whitley. Now, the minister did express that his stance on the exoneration has been met with major controversy by some arms of the government. He said, quote, "Now, I have to tell you that that's been a bit controversial with some sections of the government, particularly those responsible for law enforcement and security. So there may be some issues in terms of cleaning the records. But I have to say to you that I am pushing very hard for it. The bill has been introduced to the House of Assembly. It was introduced last Friday for the first reading, and this Friday we will have the debate and we'll have the committee stage," end of quote. Now, the minister is also pushing viewers for an amendment for the drug use bill, which will allow for the personal possession of small amounts of marijuana for medical use. Now, Section 5 of that proposed amendment states, "In accordance with the provisions of the Act, a person who is not a minor may possess up to 1 gram of medicinal cannabis for medicinal or therapeutic use." 2 says, upon completion of a self-declaration form prescribed by the authority in accordance with Section 22.2, a person who is not a minor may possess greater than 1 gram of the medicinal cannabis, but less than 50 grams or 10 grams of cannabis resin for medicinal or therapeutic use. Now, it continues on, and of course, viewers, you are free to review the full document. It's available via the government website or upon request. But he did add it, the minister did add it, that persons will not be persecuted for maybe like 1 gram of marijuana. He said very specifically, and I quote, "Persons will not be prosecuted for 1 gram of marijuana, and 1 gram can make about 3 spliffs. We won't prosecute persons for that. But if persons have bigger amounts than that, they don't go through the correct process, for being able to possess the marijuana due to some kind of medical ailment, then there are penalties for that, and we encourage persons to be in compliance with the law," end of quote. The minister said it is his personal opinion that it's a social injustice to prosecute persons for something that has been used for tens of thousands of years. This was a well-known, well-used plant right up until 1936 when it was criminalized in the United States, he said. He also said that, quote, "Now is the time for action. We've debated marijuana for some time in every corner of this society across the globe, and now we have to act. If we delay any further, we're going to lose ground," he said, in comparison to the many countries in the region already embracing the industry as a viable option. Now, viewers, the bill is set to receive its 3rd and 4th reading in the House of Assembly on Friday, June 26th. Of course, that's this Friday. So, and again, if you want to peruse the bill, you are free to do so via the government website. It's also available upon request, but quite a wealth of information shared today by the Honorable Minister Kyla here at 284 Media as it relates to the marijuana, the Cannabis Bill Act 2020, the confines of the bill, what's to be expected, because I think what a lot of persons think currently is probably that because of this bill, they will be allowed to use it recreationally, but that is not the case. And that was expounded on today and clarified in deep detail. So viewers, again, you are encouraged, and even for the 1 gram that is permitted under the bill, it is not for recreational use, according to the minister. This is only for persons permitted to use marijuana for medicinal related ailments.
I do understand. I'm glad to see the minister really pushing for persons who are currently incarcerated to be released.
Yes.
Because we've seen some really tight and stiff enforcement of the law when it comes to these types of crimes, when it includes marijuana and such. So we're really glad to see the overseeing minister speaking on this issue, because this was an issue that persons in the community have really been vocal about. How are we as a community talking about medical marijuana when lots of persons are currently in jail for for even having such.
I agree
flags.
with you, and especially a major part of the Rastafarian community who happens to use this as a form of sacrament. So again, a really great move. I think this one is definitely welcome. So we'll continue to follow the details on this one.
Most definitely. But Javon and viewers, we will take a quick commercial break and we will be right back.
Homegrown.
There's a world full of other trolls. How different can they be?
Are we in Florida?
Oh my god.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, thus far, hundreds of BVI nationals have returned home since the global pandemic has begun. The topic of repatriation has been risen on several occasions. Javon, repatriation flights are now available for BVI nationals residing or studying in the United Kingdom to assist with persons who are interested in returning home. The BVI London office, as a part of its directive to support British Virgin Islanders living and studying in the UK and in the European Union, has been working with the Premier's office and the Ministry of Education to provide assistance to individuals who are stranded in the United Kingdom due to the current global crisis. We are currently, as we know, at the end of June. Now, this is a time where students especially are packing up their dorm rooms to return back home for summer vacation. And of course, it is required that some students have to move out of their university accommodation at the end of the term. The BVI London office has confirmed that several persons contacted their office seeking advice on options that may be available to return to the BVI after the widespread international border closures and the lack of available commercial flights. Being stranded in the UK have become a major concern for students, yes, and also many other individuals in that part of the world. The BVI government, in conjunction with the BVI London office, was able to explore and secure alternative travel opportunities to assist persons who, after the reopening of the BVI's borders, were eligible for re-entry. Now, there is an upcoming chartered flight departing on the 2nd of July 2020. The chartered flight from London to the BVI, and this will be via the Cayman Islands. This flight will be closing soon because this is scheduled to take off on the 2nd of July. But of course, interested persons, we're really encouraging interested persons to please contact the BVI London office if you are stranded in the UK or you know of anyone who is in such situation. You can contact the BVI London House for more information at 44207355957 or you can email them at inquiries@bvi.org.uk.
I'm very happy to see this reality because, Kyle, as a result of COVID-19, what we found was that it forced shut the travel industry. So very limited options available as it relates to the flights that are available to the BVI. I know many persons wanted to return home a very long time ago, but again, with the limited options, that was a very difficult thing to do. So I'm really happy to see the BVI London office in conjunction with the BVI government government, making it a bit easier. Because like you said, it's not just our students, it's also
persons in general.
the average person living abroad that wants to return home, and they should have that option available to them.
Most definitely, and the BVI London House does a great job of connecting the BVI government and persons who are living abroad. I've lived in the UK, and the BVI London House have done a great job just offering support and advice on certain areas. So we're definitely glad that they're out there during such critical times to help students and others.
All right, viewers, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, but we're coming back with more news.
Listen, you want top of power?
You want top of power?
Join the prepaid party with CCT and enjoy more affordable data plans, more top-up promotions, more savings with hero bundles, and more value for your money each and every Tuesday with Top Up Turn Up Tuesday. Visit a CCT store today or anywhere CCT Top Up is sold and top up your phone.
5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You want top of power?
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, as we begin to wrap up, we have to remind you about Territory Day. Now, this year's annual Territory Day celebration will focus on the importance of being a Virgin Islander in a year when the territory will go through a constitutional review. Now, the celebrations are being held under the theme, The March Toward Greater Autonomy, Shaping Collective Pride. And we'll also focus on what it is like to be a Virgin Islander during such hardships as the lack of local governance back in the 1940s. Now, the Minister for Education, Culture, Youth Affairs, Fisheries, and Agriculture, Dr. the Honorable Natalio D. Wheatley, said that the territory must seize the opportunity to understand its own situation in light of the current global protests. He said, quote, "When we speak to the autonomy and a movement towards strengthening governance and ensuring deeper democracy, we must also consider what it will take to be autonomous in our minds, that is, emancipated mentally," end of quote. Now, viewers, this year marks 70 years since the reestablishment of the Legislative Council, now known as the House of Assembly, when Virgin Islanders regained their power to govern their own affairs. This achievement of regaining power came with the togetherness of the people. Now, Director of Culture, Dr. Catherine Smith, shared that in order to progress, the entire village is needed and that it is necessary to move forward collectively. She said, quote, "It is true that each generation of Virgin Islanders has moved the territory forward. What will the contribution at this time be? It is important to understand the exact nature of our struggle and to be strong in our shared identity as Virgin Islanders, independent in mind and spirit, yet working together as one," she said. Now, viewers, Territory Day 2020 will be commemorated with a virtual ceremony on Facebook, on the government's Facebook page, that is, of course, at BVI Government. That is on June 29th at 10 a.m. Official records in the 1960s referred to the Virgin Islands, as a territory, and in 1978, the public holiday with Territory Day. Now, today, as part of the improved relationship with the United Kingdom, the British Virgin Islands is now referred to as a British overseas territory, and that in itself, viewers, is an amazing history lesson for so many of us as we celebrate, Kyla, another very important and monumental day in the BVI, where we really celebrate BVI pride, but also reflect on, like both the minister and Dr. Catherine Smith said, the history of the BVI. And in order for us to really appreciate where we're at, the territory really needs to reflect and see where they came from.
I agree. I hope that persons would really tune in on Monday. It's not just a holiday, but it means so much more. As you said, such a monumental day when you hear of elders and historians really tell you about what Territorial Day really means to the BVI and what it really means to be a territory, and to gain back legislation and be in the House of Assembly. It's just definitely simply amazing.
And having control over your own financial affairs, which is super important. And I think as we continue to build on that, the BFL will be at a much better place. Viewers, we are out of time. We have to close off. My name is Javon Wilson, and it was so great joining you.
Most definitely. And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. Of course, we will see you again tomorrow. This is 284 News right here on 284 Media. Have a happy Wednesday, everybody.